The Pokemon World Championships have just ended, and this team just won Worlds. With a phenomenal core of Urshifu-Rapid and Chien-Pao, we've seen this actually dominate both teams that made finals, and I wanted to feature the finalist team today first. We'll be doing the runner-ups team as well at some point in the near future, but I wanted to showcase this one because, let's face it, everyone's doing it. If you guys enjoyed and want to see some more content like this, of course, like and subscribe, and with that said, let's break down what makes this team so good today. So the team we'll be featuring today consists of Fluttermane, Iron Hands, Landorus Therian, Amoonguss, Chien-Pao, and Urshifu-Rapid. Now, I'd be lying if I said I was looking forward to using an Amoonguss team. It's probably one of the hardest mons for me to still use, besides maybe something like Roaring Moon or Gholdengo. But I did want to try this team and at least give it a fair chance and see why this team is doing the best right now in terms of tournament play. This team features an Adamant Chien-Pao with Icicle Crash, mostly just to try and deal damage. A lot of teams are calculating for Ice Spinner Chien-Pao Jolly before Worlds, and I heard a lot of players were switching to Adamant Icicle Crash just to try and throw off anyone who might not have been in the know that this is what people are now running. With Urshifu-Rapid, this is an Adamant Mystic Water set built on just dealing a ton of damage to most opponents. Overall, a lot of teams are going to really struggle to actually try and take this mon on, and with the 180 speed, this should be able to just outpace a lot of different metagame threats. I believe this creeps base 80s. Nope, it actually, so it hits 140, so I think that's Adamant Tusk. I actually genuinely forget what that speed tier's for, I'll be completely honest. It's like the 75 range, but it hits 140 speed. Overall, though, the Urshifu-Rapid shield should just deal a ton of damage to most opponents. We have an Iron Hands with Fake Out, Wild Charge, Drain Punch, and Volt Switch, which allows this to be a really strong pivot with Landorus Therian to Intimidate cycle through most teams. We have a Specs Fluttermane, which is running Tera Grass, actually. With the Tera Grass Choice Specs with Energy Ball, this is actually a really good way to break through Ursaluna, which Fluttermane typically did struggle to do before pre-Tera at the very least. And now you have just a really good way to OHKO this outright. With the 164 speed, this should creep any sort of timid 189 speed Fluttermanes because you'll hit 190, which was used typically as a benchmark to creep stuff like Roaring Moon. Finally, you have a Tera Water Amoonguss with the Citrus Berry. This leans towards the Phys-Def realm for Amoonguss, which is pretty good for checking just a lot of different physical attackers, as we have a lot of good physical threats in the format right now, like Urshifu-Rapid, and this allows you a pretty free turn to Spore or Rage Powder most Pokemon. With that said, let's get into the battles. Okay, and we're here today using the World Champion team from Worlds 2023. We're taking on a team that is pretty similar to us at the very least. It looks like there's almost all the same mons. They don't have an Amoonguss though. Instead, they have... Actually, they don't have Amoonguss or... They don't have Amoonguss or Orlando. They have Cress and Ursaluna, which is fine. That's actually very fine. I have the paste up to my side, so we should be good for that. We have Adamant Pao. Ooh, Adamant Pao is interesting. Makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of Worlds players ran Adamant Pao, actually. We just need to keep that in mind with our games is all. So, in terms of my opponent's team, I feel like we'll probably need to play a bit more of like a little bit more of a safe lead. I kind of like the idea. I hate playing teams like this. We'll have to go with like a Fluttermane Hands at the very least for sure. I think that should hopefully help disrupt Trick Room and then use Fluttermane just as a good breaker here. Thankfully, our Fluttermane is actually going to be really good for that Ursaluna matchup. I know it's Tera Grass specifically for this. I had someone go over that with me, so I'm not entirely going to be useless on this team. I kind of like Lando here. I kind of don't like Lando here as well though, but Tera Flying could be decent. I think I need to go with... I think I'm going to bring Chien-Pao. Nope, I'm going to go with Urshifu because Urshifu does no wrong, and I was about to run out of time. That was the easiest mod to click. Good luck and fun to my opponent, and then, yeah, let's try and get the win here. Let's try and get a win. I feel confident the team can do it. The team is definitely good enough to win. I mean, it won Worlds, but at the same time, though, I'm also... These kind of teams are pretty rough, specifically the ones that are like Amoonguss-centric, because Amoonguss is definitely a pretty important mon here, and I'm not very good with it. They lead off with Crest Heatran. Okay, this is actually a pretty good lead for me. Crest Heatran does open up a few things for my matchup. What I can proceed to do, I can actually just go really aggressive and Shadow Ball Crest, and then go for Fake Out into the Heatran. I think that's my best play. If they get up Trick Room, at the very least, my own Iron Hands will underpace, and I can just go for something like Close Combat here. Well, not Close Combat, Drain Punch here. And I'll be pretty set. If my opponent doesn't end up going for this and instead goes for like a Protect this turn, so be it. They reveal they're not like a Specs Heatran or some other variation of Heatran, that should be fine. So we're going to be pretty good in that regard. But Heatran at least will not be killing my Fluttermane turn 1, that's for sure. We will definitely not be killing the Cresselia either. I have no intention to, frankly. But we can at least try and maybe pivot around that, which is a lot better for us. So we'll go for the Fake Out here. Perfect. Heatran is now neutralized. Decent for us, in my opinion. And then Shadow Ball will go off to Cresselia here. Yeah, that does some good damage. We can actually try and make this work. Cresselia goes for Trick Room. Yep, Trick Room. Okay, that's perfectly fine. What I'll proceed to do, I'm going to switch out, I'm going to make a little bit of a play here. I'm going to switch out the Flutter main into Urshifu. I know it's not like a super insane play to make, but it kind of does bank off the fact that Cresselia will flat out not target Flutter main, which I hold to be a little bit true. And then meanwhile, I'm going to proceed to go for a Wild Charge here into the Cresselia. I'm going to try and get some good damage off. I don't know if we'll kill. This seems like it's a very Fizz-Def invested Cresselia, especially since Timid Specs Flutter main didn't do, like it did a lot of damage. Ally Switch. Okay, Ally Switch is still fine. Damaging the Heatran's actually pretty good for us, so I'm more than okay with this. Now, Cresselia will have a chance to fail that next turn, which is fine, because I can actually get a pretty strong hit off with the Urshifu plus the Iron Hands this next turn. So, I'm really okay with this. Even if Iron Hands got hit by that, honestly, that would be a pretty fine attack to have taken. And then, meanwhile, again, Cresselia should be pretty easy to damage at this point. So, our Urshifu should get some really good damage off either way. They could be Tera Heatran. It might be in my best interest to actually just go for Protect here. Yeah, just in case of Tera Blast, actually, that could be a good play. And if they go for Tera Blast Grass, I can try and play around that. Just go into like Landorus or something. Meanwhile, I'm going to Wild Charge into the Cresselia spot. I do think this Scout is pretty important. If my opponent goes for Protect, that's kind of fine. It's a good play on their end to go for Protect. Which is sounds kind of weird to say, you know, to protect the Mon that's probably getting targeted by Urshifu in front of Urshifu. But it could be interesting to try and save that Tera this turn, anticipating that I might Scout for it. They are going to Tera Heatran, perfectly fine. And then they are going to be Tera Grass. Okay, that's fine. I can go hard into Landorus. We're a fairly bulky Lando, max HP, and then some Spidef investment too, so we'll definitely take a Tera Blast. I'm not at all concerned with that. I did just need to make sure that Urshifu was not going to get KO'd by it, because later on I can just go for something like a Surge Strikes into this when it's weakened. Perfect. Cresselia is now gone. That's their Trick Rooms that are cleared. And then meanwhile, their Rocky Helmet, which was good information, because Urshifu could have actually taken a lot of unnecessary damage from attacking that. They're going to probably go for Tera Blast. Yep, Tera Blast. Okay, perfect. Perfectly fine. These are all plays that I've kind of been expecting my opponent to be making, so it's all perfectly acceptable here. We're going to go right into Landorus. Really, no matter what Pokemon my opponent brings in, I kind of have to go into Landorus, even if it's unfavorable. This is one of those reasons where, like, you know, keeping my options open has been really helpful. Now, we will have the Lando coming in here. That should intimidate the Ursaluna at the very least, and then I'm going to go for a Drain Punch into that. If they go for a more aggressive play like a Sword Stance or even just like a turn 1 Headlong Rush, I can at least try and get some good damage off on that when it is at -1 and it's not just going back to neutral because of Guts. If they go for Protect, that's fine. We're not going to take a lot of damage from Heatran anyway, so I'm pretty okay with this. My opponent will at least need to kind of go between either a Facade this next turn or like an Earthquake or some sort of like mixed play. They're going to go for Earthquake. Okay, so we'll definitely take an Earthquake, especially at -1 without the fact that this thing has, well, without the Guts activating, we'll certainly take that hit. We've also revealed that Ursaluna is definitely slower than my Iron Hands, and it's not really doing a lot of damage back anyway. We'll get back probably more HP than it dealt to us, which is really huge. The Trick Room should be going away soon. Now, it definitely won't, I don't think it's this turn, but I think it's the turn after that it'll go away, which is pretty valuable at least. My opponent will have to go for a Facade, but if they're going to go for a Facade, I can definitely make that work in my favor. There's what, one turn of Trick Room? Yep, one turn of Trick Room. Okay, so I actually know how I'm going to end this game. I'm going to go for a Protect on Landorus, and then meanwhile, I'm going to go for a Drain Punch into the Ursaluna. If my opponent tries to go for a Protector on this, that's perfectly fine. I can actually take out that Ursaluna guarantee next turn with the Choice Specs Dazzling Gleam from Flutter main. Meanwhile, my Landorus can just go for Tera Blast right into the Heatran, and that will also pick off that spot. They're going to go for Ice Punch. That's such an aggressive play. I don't know if I agree with that entirely. I think Earthquake would have just been better, or even Facade. Because Facade would have caught a lot more. Well, actually, no, Ice Punch was pretty fair. Because I was never doubling Urshifu on that Mon. That's actually a pretty good play. Okay, well, Ursaluna is gone, which is perfect for me. Heatran will do negligible damage to Iron Hands meanwhile, and I can actually now just go for Tera Blast right into that lander, right into the Heatran. They'll go for Tera Grass. Okay, I'm okay with that. They probably just did it for guaranteed damage. Again, really doesn't, none of this is really going to impact my Iron Hands that much. Their Trick Room is gone. I'm curious what they'll bring in. It's probably going to be Flutter main, which, if it is, I'm perfectly okay just letting my Iron Hands take the damage. They're going to go into Urshifu. Okay, Urshifu is interesting for sure as well. Now, I'm still going to go for the Tera Blast, because Tera Flying should be pretty decent into Heatran, and even if they do KO me, I can actually just go for a Wild Charge. Actually, I'll go for a Volt Switch here, just because it does give me another Fake Out opportunity, which I think will be more important, despite the fact that I could probably just kill the Urshifu here. I don't even know if it will take the hit, and getting the fake out opportunity into like a Heatran on a Gleam turn could maybe be the difference, especially if it's a really spit off Heatran. Since despite being neutral, Heatran has such good natural bulk, and it could maybe pick off my Flutter Mane. So I think that'll be a better play long term. They're going to close Combat on our hands, actually, which is great. That's probably the best play for myself that could have happened this turn, because Heatran will definitely not take a Tera Blast flying. There's no way in hell that it does. It might have taken the neutral Specs Gleam, but it will not be taking the Tera Blast flying. Perfect. We've KO'd Heatran, and I'm going to Volt Switch now, which should mean that I get a free Fake Out turn into the Urshifu. Actually, I just go into Flutter Mane. There's not even a reason to go into anything else. I go into Flutter Mane, and I go for Tera Blast plus Moonblast. And that guarantees the game, because they no longer have a potential for Focus Sash here, so they just get beaten at this point. Which is great. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that I piloted this team so well. I know it's, to be fair, without Amoonguss, which is a pretty central part to any sort of support role on this team. So I'm not exactly out of the woods yet on that. But, I mean, game one already going pretty well. You could definitely see, like, the foundations of why this team did so well at Worlds. But we're just going to pick up our win here. My opponent can't do anything about that. Perfect. We'll see you guys in game number 2. Okay, so getting into game number 2, we're taking on another Trick Room team. It's so... I love this Trick Room. Oh, actually, this is Taylor, to be fair. It does have a Torn on it. Taylor is honestly fine. It's a pretty free matchup for me. Their Flutter Mane matchup is pretty bad outside of Heatran, and I have enough checks to Heatran on this team anyway, thankfully, because, again, we got provided a pretty strong team. Looking at my lead here, I feel like, again... well, actually, so I did realize something in last game, that we do have Taunt on Urshifu. I might even be able to just lead off with, like, an Iron Hands and an Urshifu Flutter Mane lead, which actually would be pretty good in this matchup for what it's worth. I'll go with Iron Hands in the back, and I do kind of like the idea of bringing Lando again, though Pao with Sucker Punch actually could be decent into a lot of mounts here. Amoonguss also might not be terrible, but I don't know. I feel like this definitely is an Amoonguss game. I think it is Lando again. Good luck and fun to my opponent, and we'll see what happens in the battle. So in terms of my opponent's lead, I'm expecting probably like Ursaluna and Crest lead. Okay, it's actually Torn Cresselia. That's a pretty interesting lead. That's actually a really interesting lead. In terms of what I want to do here, I think I definitely go for Tera Water. I go for Surging Strikes. I just nail the... I think I just dual target the Cresselia spot with this. Yeah, I think I just dual target the Cresselia spot with this. I don't have a reason to really target any other Pokemon. Cresselia should be picked off, and even if it is like a Helmet Cresselia, I can actually just pretty easily eviscerate it, because Flutter Mane should do enough damage to where I take minimal Helmet turns. Maybe like 2. I'm expecting 2, in all honesty. 2 would be pretty likely. Which is still unfortunate damage I have to take, but at the same time, not dealing with Ursaluna and Tailwind and Trick Room will be beneficial for my team. I have enough ways in the fast mode to actually really nail that Mon, so I'd rather just try and break Cresselia, which I think will be a lot more beneficial here. They're going to go for Tailwind. Okay. I'm curious if that means... So they definitely didn't go for support move on Crest, because there's no reason to with that play. Okay. Shadow Ball's going to go off. We should still do... Yeah, massive damage to Crest. Again, more Phys-Def leading for sure. I'm curious as to why they made that play. I wonder if they were trying to, like, guarantee a speed advantage depending on whatever Mon I took out here, which could have been pretty bad for them, actually, but I'm fine with this either way. That Cresselia was definitely very slow, though. We'll need to keep this in mind, because at the very least, they have Tailwind up now. Whatever Pokemon they bring in, they're probably trying to bring in, if I had to guess, probably Terragrass Heatran actually would be a pretty good Mon to bring in here. Maybe they go Iron Hands? I feel like Iron Hands wouldn't be a great play to bring in, though they maybe were expecting, I guess, Tera Flutter Mane, which could have enabled something like a Bleak Wind Torn plus a Fake Out Iron Hands, and that could have been pretty good. Not really sure. They're definitely going to go for Tera on this Mon now, which I kind of just need to attack. And let something go down. Actually, I could just go in Iron Hands. I could just go in Iron Hands. I'm going to go for the Iron Hands here. I think they'll probably value targeting Flutter Mane more, because Flutter Mane is just that decent of a Pokemon in this matchup, and I don't mind Urshifu going down, actually. With the mode they've chosen, I actually don't really need Urshifu. Iron Hands can do most of the roles here anyway. For example, if they go for Terragrass Heatran, that's fine. My Urshifu is really only valuable at that point for Torn. If they don't go for Terragrass Heatran, then that's also fine. Even if they do, also, I can pretty easily handle the Heatran with Iron Hands plus Flutter Mane and get some good mileage out of it that way. Fake Out plus Shadow Ball into that should be enough, and then I can switch into Landorus and then go for like a Drain Punch on that Mon. We don't take a lot from this turn, thankfully, anyway. So unless they're... Yep, they're Tera Blast. Okay. So they're going to definitely kill the Urshifu this turn, which I'm okay with that. A little unfortunate I didn't get prior Shadow Ball damage, but I do think this was a safer way to go about that turn, because if Heatran instead valued going for Flash Cannon, and then I probably would have lost Flutter Mane at the very least, and then had Urshifu left to Surging Strikes, which is a little bit lower net positive here. I'll go for Flutter Mane and just go for the... I'm just going to go for Moonblast. I could go for Gleam too, to be fair. Gleam also works. Because then I at least get some damage on Torn. And I don't really need the single target here. So we'll go for Fake Out plus Gleam here. Heatran may very well just be AV. It could be a lot of different things that could maybe put me in a little bit of a back foot having gone for Tera Water Urshifu. But I still think going for Tera Water Urshifu just to get around Bleak Wind plus Trick Room was a little bit safer of a play. It just might be a little bit harder to come back from because of the fact that I called that wrong. Heatran's gonna go for Protect. Okay, that's fine. We'll at least get some good damage on Tornadus here. Kind of wishing I went for the aggressive dual target on Torn. But, I mean, again, I feel like this was just a safer play to make. And if I get outplayed, I get outplayed. Heat Wave's gonna go off. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Flutter Mane gets burned. I don't really care about Flutter Mane getting burned. As long as Iron Hands doesn't, I'm pretty safe here. Ooh, okay, that's kind of rough. Dual burn is pretty rough. Mostly just because I did need Iron Hands to actually sufficiently damage Heatran. It's still definitely winnable, but it's just gonna be a lot more downhill is all. Okay. That's a really bulky Torn. Oh my god. I do need to make a little bit of a play here and go into Landorus and then just target the Torn, completely disregard Heatran. Because I need to make sure they don't get Tailwind back up. I could still definitely make this work. Let me actually double check. So how many turns does Tailwind? They have one more. Okay. So yeah, I could probably kill with Wild Charge into Torn. I think that does enough. If I don't kill, that might actually be a big deal, but I'll kind of just have to see. They're gonna let me go Landorus here. If they predict and go with like an Icy Wind this turn, good play on my opponent's end. I don't know why they've run Triple Wind and then Tailwind. Well, Quadruple Wind, I guess. Okay, they go for Bleak Wind. Perfectly fine play. I'm actually really okay with this. I'll need to let Iron Hands go down, which again, not really the best. Dual Speed Drop is rough. Dual Speed Drop is just super rough. Iron Hands will hopefully get that Wild Charge off. I can't lie, that Dual Speed... Fuck, okay, that might be really bad. That might actually lose me the game. Okay. So I kind of need to get a really lucky, like, Heat Wave dodge here. I need to, like, dual dodge Heat Wave here, I think, to win this. Because my opponent's probably just going to go for Tailwind and Heat Wave. And that wins them the game if they hit. Even if they hit either Mon, actually, that wins them the game. Actually, I think I lose anyway. I think I lose anyway, to be honest. Because I can't really get around that Heatran. Yeah, I think I just lose. They're going to go for Bleak Wind. Oh? Dual miss? Dual miss? Because that's pretty huge. That's definitely pretty huge. They're gonna go for Tera Blast. Don't go into the Landorus. Go to the Iron Hands, actually. That would be... Ooh, okay. It's still more winnable than it was, actually, because I can get around my burn KO. And then on top of that as well, I can actually just fake out into the Heatran. Now, I will say, this still isn't a great position to be in, but it is significantly more winnable. I might need to... it's going to come down to a really aggressive call, and it's also going to come down to actually getting necessary kills. Yeah, this will be... It'll be rough either way. I can't lie, this will be a very rough one. Okay. I will say, having gotten that dual miss actually does give me a lot of out here. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. If Heatran went for Heat Wave instead, I would have actually been in a significantly better position. Because I could have maybe banked on that dodge. They have Iron Hands of their own. Fuck. Okay. So I need to bank on Heatran going for a not attack here. That's what it comes down to. I need to bank on Heatran going for a not attack here. And then instead, them thinking I'll target that. If they go for a fake out here, I think, assuming that they're faster than my Iron Hands, I think I lose. If they go for an attack on Heatran, I think I lose. They go for Protect. Okay, so they did assume I was going to go for that spot. Still not out of the woods yet. I need to fake out their Iron Hands. Perfect. Okay, so I fake out their Iron Hands. And I could probably just take out their Iron Hands, maybe? Perfect. Okay. So it's somewhat winnable now. I need a few things to go right. I need them to not have Flash Cannon. I need them to get a special attack drop. Or just to go for Heat Wave and miss. I need a lot to go my way here because of the burn, because I couldn't kill that Torn. Which is really, really big. It's really gonna bite me now, because I could have at least had Heatran there and maybe tried and gone for like a Drain Punch that turn. Or maybe forced a Heat Wave even. To be fair, it still wasn't a guaranteed win, but I lost a lot of opportunity to win from that. Okay. Special attack drop? Nope, Dark Pulse. Okay. That's huge. That's what wins us the game right there. The fact that they don't have Flash Cannon is why we won that game. We got kind of failed there by the dual Bleak Wind Miss, but I don't think we should have been in that position to begin with because of the burn on Iron Hands. So we'll call it even. I can't speak for certain, to be fair, but it definitely did help a lot. So I'll more than take that. We're 2-0 so far. We're gonna get one more game in. I will see you guys in game number 3. Honestly feeling the high right now, though, I can't lie. This is a great day for battling. We'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, and for our final team, you guessed it, we're playing Tailroom today. We're taking on Landorus, T, Cresselia, Amoonguss, Grim, Fluttermane, and Torin. To be fair, this one probably actually doesn't have Trick Room on it. It's probably more so just like a helping hand ally switch Cresselia sort of build, which is perfectly fine, actually. I don't mind playing that one at all. I like the idea of going with, let's see, so I kind of like leading a bit more aggressive here. Lando-Pao could actually be pretty interesting on this build. Lando-Pao would definitely give a more aggressive offensive lead into whatever my opponent wanted to do. This will definitely be an Amoonguss game. It matches up pretty well into everything, especially with Tera, actually. That could be a decent mon. I think I'll go with, so I kind of like the idea of going with, definitely Sash-Pao. Sash-Pao plus Urshifu actually will probably be my lead. I'll go with Amoonguss, and I think that I'm going to go with Fluttermane as last mon. Good luck and fun to my opponent, and let's see what we can muscle here. Okay, so in terms of my opponent's team, okay, so I'm anticipating, oh my god, oh, okay, music cut for some reason, I'm not sure why. It's really weird the music cut like that. Oh, okay, I was really nervous the music cut, like entirely, and I was not sure why, but okay. So, in terms of my opponent's team, they lead off with Grim Lando. Grim Lando's actually not too bad of a lead for me. What I could do, I could just go for like an Icicle Crash, and actually, hold on. So I think that my play is always just Protect, then I go for Tera Water, and I go for Taunt. Tera Water will offer me a solution to Tera Flying sets. It also helps me give a turn to Scout. I can taunt Grim and at least stop me from getting up multiple forms of support, whether that's Parting Shot, whether that's T-Wave, really whatever the shenaniganry it wants to pull is, I can try and avoid that. Meanwhile, I can also at least, they'll only get up a Reflect to be fair here, which I'm okay with that. They might try and get a little cheeky behind a Reflect this turn, which is fine. But whatever form of support they've committed to, it's only going to be this form. Lando goes for Protect here. Perfect. That works out really well, actually, because I'm going for the Taunt. I couldn't have broken that anyway. And they're going to go for Reflect. Okay, so Reflect should be pretty manageable here. What I can proceed to do, I do need to double check something, because I'm really bad with this, actually. I always forget this interaction. But Urshifu-Rapid versus Landorus. I need to double check if Reflect, it does not limit Surging Strikes. Okay, so they would have to Tera. They would have to Tera here, which is perfectly fine. What I'll do, I'm going to go for an Icicle Crash into the Grim here, and I'm going to go for a Surging Strikes into Landorus. I just realized as well, this has Sacred Sword. I don't believe that, oh no, this one does have Sacred Sword. I'm mixing up this one in Michael's team, because I was getting Michael's team in-game ready for another video. I'm going to pace that one out a couple days, to be fair, to feature some more fun stuff in between. But I do have Michael's team on standby, and that one had dual Dark Move, and I thought I got this one wrong, or at least the rental that I'm using got this one wrong, I should say. Then we Tera Water. Okay, so this is fine actually. This is why I didn't want to dual target with Ice Move, with Icicle Crash plus the Surging Strikes into this, because God forbid this was of course a Tera Water Landorus. I didn't want to have to give that the turn. But now I can just go for Sacred Sword in the following turn plus a Surging Strikes. We might even just be able to pick this off actually with another Surging Strikes this turn, to be honest, because Landorus definitely can't do a lot to me. Yeah, another Surging Strikes will actually be perfectly fine to pick this off. That's a resist, keep in mind. That's the resistance we did over half. I know that we're critting through, obviously, but it's just funny to think about. Oh, no, Chien-Pao didn't avoid, unfortunate. We're going to probably lose Chien-Pao here, which is truthfully what they were probably going for. I'm okay with that. Ooh, Grim flinched. Okay, this is why we have the move. This is why we have the move. Okay, so, yeah, I think I'll go for Sacred Sword. How much does Sacred Sword actually do from Chien-Pao? Let's see. So we're Adamant, Sash. Let's see. Ooh, that does, like, no damage. Oh, right, that's versus, we need to check Tera Water. Tera Water, it does more damage, but we're still not actually doing a lot. I could maybe roll this to be fair. This is calculating for a really bulky Landorus, and I don't think it's what this is, considering it is Life Orb. We'll go for Surgeon Strikes plus that. That's probably going to be my best play. They're going to switch out Grimmsnarl here, perfectly fine. They're going to bring in... What are they going to bring in? That should be Fluttermane, right? That's Fluttermane, yep. Okay, perfect. I know my German a little bit. They're going to take a Surgeon Strikes, which is not going to be fun for them. Not at all. That's going to be a very bad turn for them to take. Their booster speed too, great. I could probably just kill that with Jet next turn. Landorus, that's Life Orb range. I'm very okay with this. So Landorus is going to die here, guaranteed, no matter what it clicks, unless it's like clicking a non-attack. Fluttermane is also going to die here, which is great. That's a huge turn for me. This is probably forfeit deserving at this point. My opponent will definitely forfeit this turn, and I'm fully okay with that. My opponent, meanwhile, is probably going to go for a Rock Slide again. I can't imagine they're not going for Rock Slide this turn. They're going to go for U-turn. Okay. So they're probably just trying to secure the POW KO, which is fine. They're not going to get a switch here because I did that much damage with Sucker Punch. So Lando drops. They lost their Intimidator, which is great. Urshifu could just clean the game probably with this, in all honesty. So how Shifu did its job, it shattered my opponent's team, which is huge. We're going to bring in... I kind of want to bring in a Mungus. So Mungus can just deter my opponent from clicking really whatever. They don't have an Amoonguss check on this team unless they have a Safety Goggles Mon, because... So they've already burned Tera Water Landorus, which Landorus would have been the Urshifu check, if not like Shadow Ball Fluttermane. So both of those are gone. Amoonguss should just run wild at this point, with me just Surging Strikes through their whole team, which is great because that means that... oh, perfect, Cresselia. That's exactly what I wanted to see here, actually. Because the best thing Cresselia could do is probably go for like a T-Wave support, and I could just keep Rage Powdering that in. And now, to be fair, Cress has a high chance of being a Safety Goggles Pokemon, but Rage Powder, we could see if that'll even go through, and that'll give a lot of information here. We're going to go for Rage Powder this turn, though, and my goal at this point is just to keep my opponent at bay. I'm going to kill the Grimm, because Grimm at least could maybe hit me for damage, like real damage, and Cresselia, frankly, will not. I also think that Grimm's a little bit more likely to maybe go for like a Thunder Wave this turn. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I think realistically, though, they're gonna go for like a Parting Shot. Okay, Parting Shot was the. I was thinking Parting Shot or T-Wave was the likely play here, and either way, I don't really care because Mungus is only gonna Side Pollen Puff after this. We're gonna Surging Strikes, just kill the Grimmsnarl, which should be perfect. They were probably trying to weaken my attack, which doesn't really actually matter because they don't weaken my attack thanks to the fact that I just critical hit reset that. So we'll take this. We'll take this for sure. We're gonna kill the Grimmsnarl here, and it's just Cresselia left, which can't really do anything. They're gonna probably go for Psychic if I had to guess. Maybe Gleam, probably Psychic. Psychic, okay, that's fine. I don't mind taking the Psychic on Amoonguss in all honesty. That's pretty easy to recover back. Even with the Spin F Shop, I don't mind this. I could actually just go for... I think I'll go for a Protect. I think our intention actually might have just been to target the Amoonguss in all honesty. Which is fine. I can actually just keep this around and try and regen through and then be set, just as a safety net, to be fair. Now I will say, a battle was canceled. Okay, perfect. I was gonna say, I will say I could just try and kill the game with Urshifu or just win with Fluttermane. Either one was pretty easy here, but it's more so just about thinking about what's the highest diff. But highest diff is just my opponent forfeiting in the end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed though, and if you did and you want to see more content like this, like and subscribe for more. Consider becoming a channel member today, just a couple dollars a month to get some nice bonus content. Currently our channel members are Zeke0, Mia, Bbat, Timo Mueller, Sam, Raw Plays, Obo, Johannes Beat, Double, Endless Gadgets, and Bam Bambi. Your guys' support is greatly appreciated. We have the Furgraph video coming next week, so stay tuned for that. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.